So with the advent of several new models coming out in the Great Eastern area, I have of course been getting back into railway modelling and decided to do a couple of short videos of a couple of trains of non-corridor stock I just unpacked and put out on the initial stages of a layout. No scenery or ballasting of course, and Pico track too. This collection has been collected over nearly 45 years now. So what you're looking at is in fact not of course the Hornby J15. This is actually the Stephen Paul kit, or Nucast kit as it's more recently been known, white metal kit of a J15. However, behind it you will see I have some standard suburban Mark I suburban coaches. Probably not the best combination of course to have here, but that is train number 1 with a Stephen Paul Nucast J15, and some of this stuff has not been unpacked for 20 odd years. Train number 2 is the Wills Finecast kit of the N7 class. I'm sure there'll be a lot of moves around now to get Hornby to produce an N7. Behind it though, again, are not Hornby coaches. These are in fact the Ian Kirk original coaches. You'll notice that the roofs are rolled plastic hard on these, and I do have a couple of more roofs that I could replace if I have the courage to take these apart. This particular set though has a special feature because it's a push-pull set. This Wills Finecast kit was made with the Belpaire firebox and everything more or less as it came, and had, believe it or not, Stephen Paul accessories for the push-pull fittings on this side. And you'll see the old Triangle RO53 chassis on the bottom of it, which one day I would like to change. I can't take credit for weathering on this locomotive, which was done by Southend Model Railway Club member John Killen. Behind, as I said, we have got some original first type of Ian Kirk coaches. And on the end of what was originally a brake third, you can see I actually made a push-pull unit, and this was written up in an article some time ago, many years ago now, in a magazine. And again, I hope Hornby will one day get to do this too. It's actually shouldn't be too difficult for them to retool this end. And a few other bits and pieces perhaps that need to be done on the underframe. You will notice my underframes, I'm afraid, are very basic by today's standards. And as I said, this comes about of a collection that has been 45 years in the making. And what you will see in a minute is a combination of different kinds of models that I've acquired over the years from different places, all with a Great Eastern or East Anglian theme. Another Wills Finecast kit, the J69. This is the locomotive that started it all. Back in about 1975-76 at Braintree Model Railway exhibition, I saw my first J69 buck jumper, and I fell in love with that idea, and that's what promoted the rather large collection ever since. Looking back along, you can see it now paired with the latest Hornby offerings. And these are Gresley coaches, and you'll be able to see them compared with some Ian Kirk Gresleys again at the end. I was wondering how well these would sit together, and one of the noticeable things is the difference in paint colour and of course the black roofs. I did choose black roofs. I could change that of course quite easily, Well, after all these years, clearly there's a lot more available ready to run for someone wanting to model an East Anglian branch line in steam days. But no one has yet produced the ready to run E4 intermediate class, which is shown here. And this is the Stephen Paul kit. Again, I think it was available in Nucast range, and actually was a easier one to do than J15 as I recall. And this one, once again, is paired with the latest Hornby Thompson offerings with a brake third. Beautiful model. And then next to that another brake third, another full third from Hornby in the latest range. But the one next to it, this one, is quite unusual. It's a Kemilway Thompson. I think it's a Thompson. It could be a Gresley. It's hard to tell with the metal sided ones, and I'm not an expert, but this kit was lovely to build, but it had its challenges though. It's not for the faint hearted. And next to that is a unique vehicle which was made by another Southend Model Railway Club member, former member of Southend Model Railway Club, Mike Arnold. Scratch built Thompson brake third. I don't know whether Mike made it for the Southend Greys layout, it's possible, or whether he just decided he wanted to make it. But he was very kind to give it to me, and it sits here quite nicely, I think. Does Michael proud, I think, sitting next to the Kemilway and also next to the Hornby together, as far as I'm concerned anyway. My last train is actually the only pre-grouping train that I've decided to do. I actually do have a resin D16, which is kind of pretty rough, from J-Craft, and it's lined out like this, but in British Railways apple green. But this is the only truly pre-grouping passenger train I've got in the collection at the moment. And although McGowan did make a kit for the B12, this is in fact a Hornby B12, an old Hornby B12, which was super detailed, again written up in an article in Railway Modeler a long time ago now, and still surviving, complete with its additions like Westinghouse pump and so forth, and a journey of 4,000 miles here too. Next to it you'll find hard to recognise that coach, because that one is actually made up from a range of sides produced by Trevor Charlton. I believe Trevor has passed away, unfortunately, but I still have some of his carriages to make up. They just come as sides and ends, and you have to make the rest up, and so the rest of it is scratched. At this time I started to experiment with having opening windows to lend a little life to the coach sides, and I definitely recommend you do that. But you will notice on one or two places here that because of the long journey to get here, some of the glazing has popped, and now I have a problem because the roofs are sealed on the neighbouring carriages, which are actually Ian Kirk hand painted ones. I have not got any Hornby ones to compare. I believe the Hornby finish will probably put mine to shame. But this middle one was a bit later, it tends to be a bit darker. It looks a little bit more convincing, I think, than the break at the end. And these are all early Ian Kirk kits too, without the formed roofs for them. I hope you have enjoyed it, and enjoy the models as much as I do. And with that, that's all, folks. That's all, folks.